As the struggle continues in Israel with the Israeli forces fighting Muslim terrorists in the Gaza Strip, hundreds of casualties, many of them women and children in Gaza. The attention of the entire world through the media is focusing on the area, and certainly the focus of Muslim leaders, both Sunni and Shiite, are focused on this ongoing battle. The leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, made this statement recently in a speech to college students. He said, these crimes, what the Jews are doing as they fight in Gaza, these crimes which are beyond imagination and show the true nature of the wolfish and child killer regime, which the only solution is its destruction. However, until that time, he continued, the expansion of the armed resistance of the Palestinians of the West Bank is the only way to confront this wild regime. What I want to do today for you is to give you a framework in which you can see what's happening in the Middle East, in which you can understand the visceral hatred that Muslim leaders have of the Jews, and hopefully enable you to speak intelligently and to listen intelligently to the news, but also to speak intelligently to your friends, people at church, people that you work with, so that you can grasp the historic reasons why Muslim leaders hate the Jews so much. Now, before I get there, I've got to give you some critical news backdrop. Number one, Hamas recently said that they would welcome the help of Hezbollah in their struggle in the Gaza Strip. The Ayatollah said that we've got to arm the Palestinians in the West Bank. Now, you'll notice from this map that the West Bank is not touching, it's not adjacent to the Gaza Strip, all right? The Jews took the West Bank in its war with Jordan. The Jews took Gaza Strip in its war with Egypt. Hamas inviting Hezbollah to help, at first blush for most people, seems like, oh, well, that's great, they're all Muslims. Hold on a second, you've got to understand. Hamas is Sunni, and Hezbollah is Shiite. Hezbollah means the party of God. Hamas means devotion to Allah in the path of jihad, or zeal on the path of Allah. So one would think, well, of course they're working together. Why wouldn't they work together? I want to explain this to you. And I know that for most of us, we don't have an interest in the narrative of the Muslim world because it seems like it's thousands of miles away, which it is. It's foreign to us, which it is. Its language is unintelligible to most of us, which it is. But number one, there are Christians dying, being persecuted in the Middle East. So we owe it to our Christian brothers and sisters to know what's going on. And number two, there is a growing, very large minority of Muslims in Europe that are involved in terrorist attacks and calling for jihad, funding jihad. There's a growing group of Muslims here in America. And when you understand the 1400-year history of Islam, and when you understand what happened in Muhammad's own lifetime, then you start to realize, wow, I ought to know what's going on with the Muslim world because it can impact me. All right, why it's so significant. Now, if you've watched the show before, you know these answers, and if not, if you don't remember them, I'm going to teach it to you again. What is the difference between a Sunni and a Shiite? Can you remember? A Sunni is somebody who believes that anybody could be the successor of Muhammad, any human being. A Shiite, that's an abbreviation for Shia al-Ali, which means the party of Ali. A Shiite is someone who believes that it has to be a blood relative of Muhammad. Now, Ali was Muhammad's cousin, So he's a blood relative. Ali married Muhammad's daughter, Fatima, and therefore their offspring were the grandchildren of Muhammad. So the Shiites believe in a dynastic continuity of the caliph, the successor. All right, the word caliph means successor, like the kings of England or any number of nations, where a blood relative, a blood child, and if there is no child, then they look for cousins to take the throne. That's what the Shiites believe. And the Sunnis say no, anyone on the path could be a successor to Muhammad. So the first successor was Abu Bakr. He was a very bloody general. The second successor was Umar. All right, these are successors after the death of Muhammad. The third successor was Uthman, and the fourth was Ali. The Sunnis say, yeah, it could be Ali. Doesn't have to be a blood relative, but it's okay if it is. But the Shiites say, no, it has to have been Ali, and it has to be one of the blood relatives of Muhammad himself, or else it's not a legitimate ruler. The fighting began in the first generation. Assassinations, cold-blooded murders, hatred of Sunnis to Shiites, and it has continued to this day. So when Hamas, who is Sunni, says to Hezbollah, that is Shiite, we want you to help us, they've shed more of each other's blood than they've ever worked together to shed the blood of a common enemy. It's a big, big deal. I want to continue explaining the significance of this and the connection of this visceral hatred of the Jews to Muhammad himself, to two events in Muhammad's life that will send a chill down your spine.